Hey everybody, Yankee here. You know, there's a lot of talk right now, a lot of fear-mongering about how if suppressors come off the NFA, that the federal government will then ban them. That they haven't banned them up till now because they've been controlled. Or that states will start banning them once they're off the NFA. That they'll be free to do that. And this is mostly just a bunch of crap from Silencer Shop and other suppressor companies. Mainly Silencer Shop. Because that's the argument they're using to defend themselves now that it's public knowledge pretty much that they are the ones that paid Congress to pull it from the bill originally before it got put back in after public outcry. When it became obvious that they're the ones that did that turned on the gun community, they had to concoct a story to try to say why we did it, why we were really looking out for you. And the story they came up with, which is ridiculous, is that, we wanted to stay on the NFA and lower the tax stamp to 0, and that way they're still protected, you can still get them, and blah, 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 but you just don't have to pay that horrible tax stamp anymore. No, they wanted them to stay on the NFA so their business model stayed the way it is. And they kept making millions of dollars off of a very expensive, little simple item. And if it came off the NFA, that isn't going to be possible anymore. And they knew that. They wanted to continue to be getting richer and richer and richer off of them. That's the only reason they tried to have it removed. Because this whole notion that the federal government is going to just turn around and ban them after they make it possible for you to get them, no, that's not going to happen. I mean, what politician is going to say, yeah, I voted to get them taken off there because people should be able to have them, and then go, they're just too dangerous for everybody to have. They're not going to do that. And the idea now that they're even going to come together on any type of meaningful gun control at a federal level is not really a serious one. It just doesn't make sense. That was just them grasping at straws to try to defend themselves after they got caught. Remember, they weren't making this argument before they got caught. They came up with this argument several days after they got caught, and they weren't able to silence people like me who were calling them out. And it's, like I said, ridiculous. The whole notion that the federal government's going to take them off the NFA and then ban them, not going to happen. And as far as states being able to ban them, it'll actually be harder for states to ban them. Because when they're considered arms, then it's a little bit easier. It's a different process to ban them or regulate them. When they are not arms, it's going to be pretty much as hard to regulate a suppressor or a silencer. Some people get mad when you call them that, but you might want to have a word with the manufacturers because that's what they call them. And the people that sell them, that's what they call them. It's Silencer Shop, Silencer Central. So if you got a problem with that word, you might be just exposing your own ignorance and your own inexperience. But as I was saying, it'd be as hard to regulate these as it is scopes or red dots because they're not an arm now. They're just an accessory. And you'd have to show that that item has the potential to cause great harm to the public or that it is a serious risk to the public. Because governments just can't ban free enterprise and items that they make. They have to have good cause. When it was an arm, it was a different level of proof. Now that it's just a private item, it's going to be really hard for them. And like I said, states could ban them anytime. There are already states that ban them, but most of them didn't bother because they know they're not really a risk. This was federal BS back in the day. Most states didn't care about them. And most states haven't bothered to ban them. There's been 8 states plus DC that have banned them. And it's the same offenders as always, that hate guns, Hawaii, Illinois, places like that, DC. So hasn't been really on their radar and probably won't be now. Because like I said, they'd have to show they're a clear and present danger. It'd be less likely they'd be able to get away with banning them now than before. But some people are like, but they argued that the Fifth Circuit said that they're not armed, so they're not protected under the Second Amendment. That means if they come off the NFA, they're going to ban them. No, it means they're not arms. The government has no right to regulate them. They're a private item. If a state or a government wants to ban them, they're going to have to show they're a threat. So it won't even be as easy for these states to maintain the bans they already have. Now, will 1 or 2 states probably panic and, cater to the Bloombergs and everybody else and go, we got to get these dangerous suppressors off the streets? Maybe, but not going to make a dent in the number of people that would be buying them. In fact, the number of people in the states that won't ban them will far outrace the number of people that are denied them. And here's another thing. Since they're not a controlled item, going across state lines and buying one will be no different than going across state lines and buying a scope. They don't ask where you're from or anything like that. They give it to you, you take it back where you go. And if your state has banned them, well, that's an argument between you and your state. And hopefully go get one, bring it back, use it. Hopefully someone charges you with something. They're going to have a real hard time charging you with anything serious because it's not a controlled item. It would just be, it's illegal to have that in this state and, it's got a small fine, blah, blah, blah. And then you could use that to overturn the ban. So it's not going to be like, oh, he's in possession of an illegal firearm. No, it'd be like, well, pop rocks are illegal in our state, and we caught this guy with pop rocks. It's not like you're going to prison for them. So there is no real danger from them coming off the NFA. It's solely a good thing. Far more people will be able to get them at far more affordable prices from far more sources. Many more sources. So it's a positive thing for the consumer. It's only a negative for the people who make them now and sell them at exorbitant prices for what is basically a little muffler. And like I've said before, you buy an expensive muffler for your car, you got at least if you spend $100. These things are $1,000 more for a $150 item. They wanted to maintain that. There's no fear of them really being regulated harder after they're off the NFA or being banned more after the NFA. That's just a smokescreen made up by Silencer Shop after they got caught lobbying to keep our rights infringed. Not before. They weren't making that argument before saying we need to get this out of the bill because this is what's going to happen. No, it's something that they came up with afterwards after their smear campaigns on the internet weren't working. They had people coming in my comment section. One person commented in my comment section, a really nasty comment. They had the Silencer Shop logo as their icon. I tried to get a screenshot of it, but it disappeared too quickly. So I can't prove it, but it's funny. And I pointed it out to people and other people said, yeah, they've seen that. So really funny what they were doing. They were buying praise from gun rights groups. That's one of the bad things about gun rights groups. They'll sing anyone's praises for money. They were playing damage control, and then they came up with this ridiculous notion. And now, unfortunately, some people are falling for it, that if the silencers or suppressors come off the NFA, they'll suddenly just go away forever. No. You'll be able to get them easier than ever, cheaper than ever, from far more sources than you ever could before. There'll be more competition, more designs coming out, more everything. It'll be better for everybody, except for people in those 8 states where they're banned. But now, it'll even be easier for them to get them if they want to get one. Go get one. You'll be able to buy them anywhere. If they're just a regular item like a scope or anything like that. You know how you can go across state lines and buy a different trigger for your gun? No one regulates that because it's not an arm. That's what will happen. Don't believe the fear-mongering. It isn't true. It's just a company that had a nice little niche that they got rich off of, that they want to keep getting rich off of, trying to fool you into voting against your own best interest and try to forgive them for stabbing you in the back.